It is Friday, March 25th of 2022, and I'm laughing because sometimes I do the dumb. And maybe I'll do more of it today on Guy's Daily Drive. Bam. And welcome, everyone, to a glary, I can see that big glare coming in, big glary Guy's Daily Drive. Started a little bit later than I had really intended, and I still don't know if I'm getting audio. I guess I'll find out when I do the post thing. So, essentially, I'd already kind of started. I was just getting ready to do the date and all the rest of that when Martin said he couldn't hear anything. So I was like, what's wrong here? So I pull over into Costco and I figure, while I'm at Costco, the gas is a little cheaper. I'll just go ahead and fill up. And then my membership card is expired, and it's like, damn it. So couldn't get gas. So I just kind of pulled off and spent about 15 minutes fiddling with this lav mic, and I think it's working now, but I won't really know until later. So this may all just be a colossal waste of time beyond when it's already sometimes a colossal waste of time, but we will see. Yes, we will. So, what I wanted to talk about today, now that I'm finally like moving and grooving, was cars. A little bit about cars today, and my history with cars. So, what is this guy in front of me doing? Speaking of cars. Okay, just keep going. Earlier, when I first left the house, now when I leave the house, there's usually a lot of kids going to school, which means that I have to be, I'm getting around this guy, I have to be much more careful than I usually am, because kids don't always pay attention to what they're doing and where they're going while they're walking to school. So it's up to me and other responsible drivers to pay attention for them. And in the middle of all this, someone did an illegal U-turn and then stopped to let some other car that was like 40 feet away when they stopped to get around them, when they could have just easily completed their illegal U-turn and just kept going. But no, they're going to be the nice illegal U-turner and let the person that they've now inconvenienced go by, so that, you know, they're the good person. And the weird thing about it, beyond the illegality, was that the car that did the illegal U-turn was a Toyota Sienna minivan slash SUV, whatever they're calling the Toyota Sienna these days. And the car that they inconvenienced was a Lexus RX450, which, if you saw these two cars side by side, you would just say, you know, without any of the badging, you would just say, that's the same car. And you would be right and you would be wrong. It's not the same car. It's a Lexus, which is a rebranded Toyota for the most part, with more luxury or whatever. Hey, Martin, yeah, I'm glad you can hear me now. With more luxury-ishness attached to it. So, when one car was behind the other, it was like, oh, those are both Toyotas. And it wasn't until I was going down the road, and it was like, no, that's a Lexus RX450 and a Toyota Sienna. And it's the same car. Same car. Now, American brands do this all the time. The most egregious was, or is, General Motors. And at one point, they had 5 brands, 6 brands. They had Chevy, Oldsmobile, Buick, Pontiac, Cadillac. They also had, there was like some little offshoot that was around Saturn. They had Saturn. They had Hummer. All these different brands. Now, the Saturns and the Hummers, not really included in this, but all the other brands that I mentioned, each of them had basically a rebranded car of another brand. So you would have a Chevy Malibu and a Buick version of that car, or an Oldsmobile version of that car. You'd have a Pontiac whatever with, other cars of the same. I think the funniest one I saw was there was a Chevy called it was a small car, Chevy Cavalier, the original Chevy Cavalier. And because they were trying to boost the average mileage of each brand, they had a Cadillac Cimarron, which was just a very much more expensive Chevy Cavalier. And they were both garbage cars. They were just terrible cars. But there was like no real difference between them. You could look at them from the front, and I think the Cimarron had like a slightly extended hood with a fake, what looked like a fancy radiator, But if you look up images of those two cars, they look exactly alike. There's almost no difference between them. And one was thousands of dollars more than the other. And I'm sure it's the same way with the Toyota and the Lexus. You could probably outfit a Toyota Sienna exactly the same way as you could the Lexus RX450. The difference being that the Lexus comes naturally with some of the more expensive gewgaws than the Toyota does. And it's just kind of like, if you have a Toyota and then you get the same version, but it's a Lexus, all you've pretty much done is just spent a lot more money on the same car, if you don't need all that extra crap that they put on. And Nissan does the same thing. Nissan, theirs is the Infinity, I think. So you could get a Nissan 350. It's like their little 2-door coupe sports car. Or you could get the Infinity Q blah blah blah, which was a 2-door sports car with exactly the same, but it said Infinity instead of Nissan, so it was more money. And I get that they're trying to cut costs, but the funny thing is the cut costing doesn't make it down to the consumer level. It's just a way for them to eke out a little more profit on the same car. And things like engines and transmissions, that doesn't bother me, because those are like commodity pieces in cars. You need an engine, so here's an engine. You need a transmission, there's a transmission. you need a rear end, and you need all this other stuff that breaks, that makes the car go. Well, you don't need to have Cadillac branded brakes and a Pontiac branded transmission as compared to the Chevy one. You just need it all to work. But when they literally just take body panels from one car and put it on the next, it just strikes me as being lazy. And the people that walk around going, "Oh, I'd never own a Chevy. I'd never own a Pontiac or an Oldsmobile. I'm strictly a Cadillac kind of guy." Or, I don't want a Chevy. I want the high performance that you get with a Pontiac. It's like, dude, same car, exact same car. Well, who are you kidding? You're not fooling anybody. And it's just, I don't know, that has driven me crazy since I was a kid. It would be like the Volkswagen Beetle. Actually, you know what? They did do this. Volkswagen, and I just remembered this, Volkswagen bought Audi. And it's part of the Volkswagen group. And they came out with the new Beetle. And I think it was mid-2000s or something like that. The Beetle had a 5-cylinder engine, which I always thought was weird. 5-cylinder engine, and it was like a slightly sportier version of the Beetle. And then Audi came out with the Audi TT. And as it turns out, same car. It is the same car. It's just branded different. But at least, I will give Volkswagen credit. At least the cars didn't look identical. They were both two-door cars, kind of sleek, but the Audi had its own kind of brand identification that went beyond just slapping an Audi name on it with 5 circles. It looked like an Audi versus looking like a Volkswagen Beetle. So I'll give them a pass on that. But the internals were exactly the same. I don't know. Why would people do that? Car companies do these things, and then they expect consumers to just, turn a blind eye and be stupid. And unfortunately, a lot of times they're right. People will buy based on brand instead of just getting the exact same car under a different brand for less money. Because I guess sometimes appearances are 90% of who you are. And that's just kind of sad. All right. Well, a very odd guy's daily drive. I did not really think it was going to go in this direction, but it did. Never did get around to talking about the cars that I wanted to talk about, which were the cars that I've had since being a married family guy. But that's okay. We'll talk about that another day. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can send me email to guy@mymac.com or podcast@vertshark.com. You can find all the odds and all the vids over at vertshark.com. If you want to just look at the vids, you can go on over to YouTube, look up VertShark, and then like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. So easy. It's all you got to do. And it really does help. So if you can, and you think about it, go on over to YouTube, look up VertShark, and subscribe. You'll get all the bells and the notifications when new stuff is up, if that's something that you want. Yeah. You can get a hold of me via the Twitters. I am VertShark and Mac Parrot over there on the Twitters. You can also help support the things that I do if you want to. You don't have to. I'll do it again. I'll do it again, by God. Patreon.com/MacParrot. Coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot. Or pay a pal. Pay that pal. Over at paypal.me/MacParrot. Don't forget, I also do the mymac.com podcast with Gaz over there at the flagship, mymac.com. And you can like, share, subscribe to all of the MyMac shows by just hitting the general MyMac feed. And you'll get them all. And there's so many different shows. Alrighty. That is it for this morning. Thank you all so very, very much for joining me today on Guy's Daily Drive, even though it took me a while to get started. How weird. What a weird day this is already turning out to be. And it's not going to get any better when I get to work. I don't know why. It just won't. It's how things go sometimes. But I hope that you will join me next time right here on Guy's Daily Drive. Bye-bye.